Namaste, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. We have a very special guest today, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm going to give this guy a proper introduction. Some of you know him because you also follow his work, which is really incredible and taken a very interesting turn as of late. So we're going to discuss all of that. But I just wanted to get a couple of quick announcements and housekeeping things out of the way real quick, and we'll dive right in, okay? First thing, you guys saw Stellar Foundations launched on Friday. That is the 13-week intensive for you to go through the 13 gates, and we're going to go in the order of the cosmic hero's journey. So we're going from Scorpio clockwise around to Ophiuchus, and you get over 33 hours of modules. You will get 7 hours of meditations. You get 6 office hour sessions with me. It's going to be amazing. What I'm also going to do with this, guys, is I'm going to set up a scholarship fund. A couple of people have reached out to me with some very heartfelt emails saying that they're super interested in doing this and they feel like it's really something that they're being called to. And so what I was thinking about doing was setting up like a fund for that, and we could all sort of crowdsource that. And my commitment to that would have been 100% match. So I will set that up. You guys just keep your eyes out for that link. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. Okay, so Logan Jayson is getting ready to come from the backstage. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on how I found out about Logan. I first saw him on Archaics with Waters Above Crypto. Jayson has had them on over the years. And what really caught my eye about the last interview was that Logan was saying that constellational astrology is what he started to use. So I think it was a very recent finding for him to go from tropical to constellational astrology, which is what we do here. And so to have someone that is, been doing tropical astrology for such a long time to finally realize that, especially in the fascinating work that he does, incorporating that, we're going to discuss with him how he came about to that realization, and then also how it's changed his practice and what he's discovering in his recent decodes. So when I first saw him, I couldn't help but think, wow, this guy is like a way hotter, less cringy version of Fonzie from the Happy Days, right? You guys remember that show? It's like this dark, edgy vibe. And I'm always intrigued when I run up into that energy. And then he dropped the bombshell about switching his astrology. So that got my attention. I had to check him out. We don't just let any crazy people into our community, right, guys? So I dived into his recent videos, and there was a serious gut check in some of his work. I mean, I was like, usually you guys see me as an optimistic sort of love and light person. That's the message I spread. But in general, I walk the middle path. I don't get too excited about things. And, he does too, but his message is coming from more of a darker angle. And it's very, very interesting. So I went back and I just started, consuming some of his videos. And I actually had to stop right before the revelation of tropical to constellational astrology. I just couldn't. I was like, this is before he made the realization. So I got back that far, but it's really, really groundbreaking work, really, really incredible work. And so I couldn't resist. I had to reach out, and I questioned him and I challenged him. And synchronistically, you guys all know Athen Commenti from Mastering the Zodiac. Logan invited Athen to come and talk on his channel. So it was just really a wonderful conversation. And I got to see a really bright and beautiful side of Logan. And I thought, okay, we need to get together and connect and bring you into my community and maybe do a reading and take your course and just see what you're all about. So his latest decodes are fire. That's why I invited him on today to teach us, chat with us, and let us get to know him better. So without further ado, please welcome this cool cosmic drink of water, the one and only Logan Jayson of Decode Your Reality. Welcome, my friend.
How we doing?
Hi.
Nice to be here. Sorry I'm a little late, everybody. I had a little trouble getting on to the restream here. So my fault. I know I've tried
Awesome.
to do as well as I can.
Well, Mercury's in retrograde, so you kind of have to be cool and let things go.
All right.
All right, good. We have a good crowd today. I think we have 30 watching already. Pamela Swan is here giving us a woohoo.
Let's see if I can move my camera.
I actually got to meet her in person over the weekend at the Archaics meetup. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And she did the woohoo.
Uh-huh. Nice. Trying to get this to, okay. That's about as best as I'm going to get it. Okay. I'm ready to rock and roll. Whatever you want to talk about.
Awesome. Yeah. So we have a few people in the chat. They're all saying that they're really excited that you're here and that you are amazing and great. And so they agree with me and my intro.
Wow.
So,
Well, I appreciate
okay.
everybody.
Cool.
A
Cool.
lot of people don't think that. A lot of people think I'm the biggest ass in the world. So it's kind of cool to see the contrast.
Well, my community does the real sky. We want the real information. We want the truth. We don't want the programming. So, Logan, why don't you let's do this. Let's pretend we are in an elevator, and we can go up as many floors or as down as many floors as you want to, and we don't have to avoid the 13th floor. Just give me your elevator spiel. Like we're waiting for our floor. Tell me what you do and how you do it, and then that'll give me a good jumping point to ask more questions.
The official title that I go by is a metaphysician, and it's like a lot of people. Oh, you're a doctor. Well, not in the truest sense, right? So a metaphysician is someone who studies the metaphysical world, and the metaphysical world, to me, in my understanding, is the mechanics of astrology, numerology, all those beautiful mystical art platforms that we can use. And also psychology fits into that as well. I'm a huge fan of psychology, studying behavior of human beings, et cetera, et cetera. So I've taken that and I've moved that into a platform called Decode Your Reality, which is a channel that's primarily based on showing people that we live inside of a scripted reality, meaning that, like people ask me, do you believe in free will? And my short answer is maybe, right? A little bit. I think that our emotions are the free will, but other than that, no, we don't have the free will that people think we have. And I know this rubs people the wrong way because they want to believe that they have control over their lives, but that's not what the code says. So, I'm a guy who takes I'd use the same principles as like a computer coder, someone who does HTML, C# or C++ or any of these. They code a software in order for it to work. For instance, this StreamYard that you're using, there's a code behind it that somebody wrote, software, letters, numbers, and symbols, brackets, and all those kinds of things. And that's what makes us be able to come together and sit here, and you see the visuals and the audio coming through, which is almost instantaneous, right? There's really no lag on that. So that's what I do. I take the same kind of principles of computer code that runs software, and I break down the spoken word. I break down astrology. I break down titles, objects, subjects, etc., to show people what the code is that wrote the final product that we say, oh, that's Logan, or that's Danny, or that's a cell phone, or there's code behind all of this stuff. So that's what I kind of do in a nutshell.
And you do this full time. This is your job. This is your life, right?
Yes.
Yep. So do you like, how does your process work? When you come up with an idea, you're walking through, I guess you're walking on the beach in Mexico. Are you like decoding the palm trees and the cars and the people and the license plates going by you? Like, is that how your world feels sometimes?
Sometimes. Other times people in my community or somebody will just tip me off on a topic that comes into my mind that won't let me go. I just like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I just go to numerology, type it into the calculator. And if the word starts to, I have all these things memorized now, so it really becomes easy for me. So now if I see a number that's attached to a title or a word or something that somebody had said, I've used people over the years that I don't even know on platforms like Facebook, where when I used to be on that platform, people would comment on a post that I do and they'll mention a certain subject, and I'll go and just look at that subject. I look at dates. I look at all the things that are attached to the dates. And then I'm like, oh my God, this person's scripted, and then I start going in and it's now becomes so easy. So it's just random. I'm always constantly looking at the code. I wake up, I look at my phone. There's like right now it's 6:51, PM. So like that's a code. What can I do with that? Well, I have the numbers memorized. I can tell you what that means, right? You can do it in military time, 1851. You can look at receipts that you buy from the store. That will give you code. Just yesterday after I released a huge groundbreaking material decode on the Tower of Ra and how it's tied to the Yod He Vahe in the Bible. And it's undeniable now that Ra is the Yod. Well, I go to the store and I get some groceries and I come back with the receipt, and that number was completely in line with what I was doing. So it's just the timestamp is beyond words. The timestamps in the videos that I put out, and I do them all improv. I don't ever plan my decodes, and so they constantly come out with the synchronicities of what I'm doing, and that's how
You
I
don't
find.
plan those decodes?
No, I don't plan anything. I just do it all improv. Yeah, nothing's
Amazing.
done. Yeah, nothing's done like, oh, I got to make sure like when I go and edit my videos, I don't cut anything out. Like if people watch me and they hear me talk, whatever, I ramble, rant, sometimes I use a lot of ifs, ands, buts, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really cut anything out. I don't have
But
to.
your graphics and your slides are beautiful. I mean,
Thank
I
you.
don't know if you guys have seen his channel and his work, but these images that you produce with the archetypes are absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
And then the way you sort of put the visuals together, hooking up the alchemy with the cards, with the astrology, that doesn't. I mean, you already have all that just sort of somewhere.
Well, I mean, big shout out to
That takes.
ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT and I use
Oh
Bing
wow.
images but I'm also a graphic designer. So sometimes the graphics that come out when I type in what I want doesn't come out to how I want it. So I have to bring it into Photoshop and I have to make adjustments. There's a lot of layering going on, which is easy for me because I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah. So,
So just a little tweaking to the images, and then
sometimes, yeah,
you just go. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
I thought that I was going to ask you how many hours it takes you to get a decode together. That's
Uh,
because I mean,
yeah, well, it depends. Really, that's a really broad stroke question because sometimes I can pump out. I can do anything. Now I'm so confident I could just go randomly. I could just grab a group of people and say, "Give me a topic to decode," and I can decode it. It doesn't matter what it is. I find because I have all these things memorized now. So
yeah,
it's
we might do that. We might do that in a little bit. I might.
it's fine.
Okay, cool. Oh wow. So okay, so now because some of the connections you make are pretty deep, it feels like there's almost a process to it. Like, okay, I see this connection here. I'm going to try this cipher or that cipher. Or like, is that how you do it? Or do you automatically know which cipher you're going to do? Like you're guided to
Well,
do it.
yeah, I mean, there's a science to decoding, right? Like when I started decoding, I was using this cipher called septenary, which uses the numbers 1 through 7, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And I
Okay.
found that through a guy named Marty Leeds. That's really how I got started. Then I got into decoding. I found another guy named Zach, and he was using the Pythagorean and the English A through Z. One equals A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. But then I got into Chaldean numerology. I read a book, Chiro's Book of Numbers, and that's what set me off on Chaldean. I started to study how valuable Chaldean was because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to go to the very beginning of originations. And Chaldean to me is the oldest numerology cipher that I know of, and how it works just on the phonetics, and it's not just based on the numbers. It's randomly placed out for a specific reason.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
really,
if you want to back up a step and explain Chaldean, because I do see that you use that a lot, and I don't really understand it.
yeah, well,
I understand A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I get that, but I don't.
yeah, yeah. Well, Chaldean it doesn't go the normal A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. It goes basically on the shapes of the letters. So some of them are similar, and then the phonetics and how they come out of your mouth. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's a complex. It's really complex to describe without showing the visuals. But I have a decode on Chaldean numerology and why it's so special. The word Chaldean in Chaldean is 27, which is tied to the 103, and that's my birth time. So I can take my birth time and show you why I didn't choose Chaldean; it chose me. Everything that you're doing as a human being, everybody here in this chat, this is my truth. You're doing it because you're being used to do it. Like, you're a pen. Your body is an instrument. And like this, do you think this thing has a choice when you like, oh, like this is the old style Bics, right? I'm going to choose red, right? Well, now this pen right here, do you think this thing can say, no, you're not going to write with me? It may block up. I'll just take the lighter. Remember the lighters and would just put some heat on it right now. But this thing is my slave. Well, I mean, when you start to look at the code and you start to look at how our reality is based upon, we become this a little, obviously much more complex.
I feel there's some nuances to that, maybe. But I see what you're saying. It's almost, well, the way I look at it is if you almost can just sort of to surrender to your code, right?
Yep.
To kind of connect what you're saying. If you surrender to that, then the code rewards you almost,
Correct.
right?
And if you don't, you get like I'm now at the point where if if you don't see the value of knowing how you're coded through astrology, human design, Enneagram, personality types, Briggs-Myers, numerology, these are all tools of the toolbox. But if you don't study them, you can't use them correctly, right? So in order to be in harmony with those numbers and archetypes, because it's all archetypes, you need to know how you're coded. So you need to know what the imprint, the blueprint of the astrological chart. And as you know, you had mentioned earlier, I started with tropical, right? I started with the Placidus chart, right? And then I graduated to Vedic sidereal, and mastering the zodiac. I probably started using that. I don't even know, maybe 9 months ago, right? Mastering the zodiac along with stellium, because I use those side by side. I think they have a lot of value, those two, stellium and so sometimes stellium will say a little bit different than the mastering the zodiac. So you got to, when you're in between a sign, it's a cusp, man. You got to study both signs. But the astrology, to me, there's nothing wrong with tropical, but I look at it now, the best way to describe the difference between the two is the sidereal is the master zodiac wheel. It's the bit, like it's if you open up a watch on the back end, it has all these dials in there, right? And so the sidereal is the master dial, and then tropical is a subdial inside that sidereal chart. That's how I look at it, right? So again, there's nothing wrong with tropical, but I'm about precision, as you are, right? So if you're going to be about precision, you may want to consider looking into the Mastering the Zodiac and the Stellium website to get your basis, because I mean, I don't like using the word prove. I really don't like using that word, but in this case, like I went out on the beach on June 12th of this year, and the moon was like a crescent moon, right? So you could see the stars around it. Other like when a full moon, you can't see anything. So I look up and I'm like, oh my God, there's the body of Leo on June 12th. Holy
cow.
Miss
it. You can't miss it.
So I open up my Stellium. I'm on the beach, right? And I have two phones. I have a US phone and my Mexican phone. Luckily, I had both with me. So I'm like, holy cow. And then I go and I have this application in my phone, which will do the tropical and sidereal. So I open up and it was like, tropical says, no, it's in Virgo. I'm like, Virgo? How, no. My eyes are not deceiving me. So I went ahead and I took my phone and I pointed it at the sky, and I took an image of me holding my phone, so you know that I'm not trying to fudge anything. And I posted that on and that was it for me. June 12th was really kind of like, okay, this tropical, nah, it ain't precise. And even Lionsgate, on 8/8, Lionsgate, it's in tropical, you're in 16 degrees Leo. That's not the gate of Leo. It's the beginning. Matter of fact, in Mastering the Zodiac, you're still in Cancer. You're like at the threshold of coming through the gate. So this is the failure of tropical. And again, I'm not belittling tropical, right? But I think that when it comes to precision, you got to start looking at this idea, the master wheel.
100%. You will not get anyone disagreeing with you here. For sure. Actually, Athen is someone I've known for quite a while. He was my light in the dark for about a year or so. He was the only one that had the chart, and I would wake up every morning and run today's chart and then run my birth chart and then just see what was going on. And then I had to seek other people that were also looking at the sky. So, Athen is so awesome. He's given me that chart calculator code for my website. It's on there too. So I'm a second source for that same code if you guys are looking for that. And if you want to play along with anything, excuse me, that we do tonight. And then also Athen is providing the software for my new course because it's part of the package. So, Athen's a wonderful person, and you guys had such a great interview.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and you guys hit on that. You talked about tropical astrology versus constellational astrology. No one here is trying to say that you can't practice tropical astrology and that it provides any use to you. I look at it as this historical container that's been able to preserve the energies of the archetypes so that we can study it. When it had to go underground and go into secret, it was so much easier to draw, the cross and the circle on the sand than to actually figure out where the shit was, and to read the sky. Excuse me. So yeah, I look at it as a historical container, a device that still has a lot of tools and techniques that work in constellational astrology. Like I've seen some medical astrology applications actually work with the true sky. I've seen the financial markets actually work with the true sky. And a lot of it is cycles, right? It's about the moon cycle, the Mercury cycle, the Venus cycle, how those bodies in their dynamic energies move with us. and their quantum effects on our emotional state.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't knock it at all. And in fact, I invite people to come over here and listen. And sometimes when I'm doing moon energy videos, I will translate it into tropical for them. You know, like it's in this degree of tropical. So if you're looking, you can do this. But
Yeah.
I'm like you. I was a Leo my whole life, and then pointed it to the sky on the Night Sky app, and there was the sun right there in Cancer. So what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other caveat here is like what people say, well, Logan, what's your sign? And I say, I'm all 13.
Right.
What do you mean? Well, if I open up my chart, you're going to have, there's 13 signs there. I'm all of that's the dartboard, man. So I'm Leo. Yeah, of course I have Leo. My Leo's in my midheaven position, but I have no celestial activity there, but it's in my midheaven position. So it's a presence in my life. So I'm all 13. To me, that's the true answer to give to somebody when they ask you what your sign is. It should be, I'm all 13.
Mm-hmm. I always tell them too, it's way more than your sun. It's not just your sun.
Yeah.
It's your moon, your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars.
Then you got to look at the lords of the houses, like the sun, rule in the fifth house, the Lord of the fifth house. Where's your Lord at? Where that's the sun. So you have to take that, and then you got to cross reference. That's why I like to call them hotels. I call the zodiac signs hotels, because it's much easier. Like, what would a hotel? I have them all. I have all the graphics for the hotels, what they would look like if you walked into a lobby and you would come into the house of.
Oh, I've seen them. They're very impressive. I would, in fact, if you would like to share them, I wouldn't mind at all. They're very beautiful. Yeah. I want all my
Chat GPT, man. It's all in the keywords, right? And it takes some effort and patience, because sometimes they don't come out like the way you want to.
Right. Sometimes it's a little glitchy and goofy, but
totally.
But yeah, you're welcome to share. You just hit the little screen with the arrow on the bottom, and it'll come on up.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that was, and then it wasn't just the June 12th for the it was also the discovery of Uranus. I'm a huge Uranus fan. And it was discovered in 1871. And the guy who discovered it, William Herschel, in his journal specifically said that it was by Zeta Tauri, which is in Taurus. Well, you go to tropical and they got Uranus all the way in Gemini. It's like, you can't be in two places at one time, people. Okay. Right. This is the guy who discovered it with his telescope. So that's like the most accurate measurement so that was another big thing for me. What was that discovery that tropical fails, in the true measurement. So, yeah.
And, and also Pluto's a big contention, a bone of contention, because Pluto's not where it's at. Not where they say.
I mean, there's a lot of, Pluto's finally leaving Capricorn. No, it's just getting there. Yeah, it's in Aquarius. It's just getting there.
You are just getting started with Capricorn.
Just getting warmed up, baby. I love Pluto.
I do too. I do too. I think he's a fantastic energy.
Absolutely.
He really is.
Yep.
You can't have ego with Pluto. I always tell people, like, okay, so Pluto is going to want to miraculously transform your life so that you're powerful and amazing. And if he asks you to do something and you don't get out of the way, he's going to smack you a little bit. And then if you still don't get out of the way, he's going to like tie you to the chair and burn you alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you'll change. And then you'll be like, okay, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Most people that look back at Pluto transits, they're like, okay, that was horrible, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was something that I had to go through. So,
sure.
Very powerful stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. So I feel like you're decoding synchronicities. Like, how stuff's non-local and things are connected on that fourth dimensional level. You can affect the spin of one electron on the other side of the universe just by hitting, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
The non-locality energy. It seems almost like you're sort of tapping into that with the way these, what would be seemingly non-entangled modalities become entangled.
Well, I don't really know what to say about that. All I can tell you is that I'm not in control of my life, and I'm totally cool with it. I feel like there's a big sigh of relief when you finally, you're not trying to chase force. Like, there's no force in my life anymore. There was a lot of force, but it seemed like that way, and that was all scripted, right? But that taught me a big lesson. I think value is in the pain. Pain is the value, because you're like, I'll never do that again. So how would you know not to ever do it again? You got to go through the pain, right?
Right.
Pleasure gets you complacent. People get sloppy and lazy when they get the pleasure principle. They do.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think I think you have to kind of walk that middle path is
It's
the
the
whole
middle path,
idea.
man.
Yeah. You know, that what it 258, right?
0258. That's
Mhm.
the middle path, man. I mean, that's the path of the devil, right? That adds up to the number 15, and that's the devil. That's Ra too. Ra, it's the Yod, man. Yod Hey is 15, man. So that's the middle path. That's the tower path. That's the middle path, man. If you go to the left-hand path, which a lot of people, that's the path of sin. The 147, man. That's the path of Lucifer, the path of sin, the ego. And then you have the 369, which is the path of shalom. But both of those paths will get you recycled back into the game again.
Right. And you even quote scripture.
Oh,
How
I
are you
love
so
it.
good at, I mean, how do you know so much scripture? Both in
Study,
Hebrew and English, right?
study. I can read Hebrew now. I can't just,
Really?
well, yeah, because I've decoded and Greek too. I just can't, it's crazy. I live in Mexico, right? I've been here over
Mhm.
4 years and I can't speak the damn language, man. I mean, I can say some words, but I'm so ignorant with Spanish. It's so
Meanwhile, he's speaking Greek and
the
Hebrew
Greek
over
and
here.
Hebrew I can read, and yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's just from decoding. It's just
Mhm.
even Arabic. I'm getting, starting to learn my Arabic and Persian. It's really cool, man. These languages that are just they're ancient. They're really, especially Arabic, man, ancient language. So
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the words that we speak, that we spell them, right? They are created from thought forms and create other thought forms
yeah,
and that sort of thing.
yeah.
So yeah, and I often wonder, so here's what I'm talking about. So you'll take a number like someone's birthday, for example. And I mean, we should probably just do somebody's example just to kind
Sure.
of show them your process. I don't know if you're willing to do that.
I'll do
Um,
anything you want me. I'm not shy.
but I think it's really, really interesting because it's there's a lot of jumping around to the different modalities. And what I'm still trying to figure out is how you know which one to go to next, or do you
Oh,
have
I
a
go to all
formula?
of them. Yeah, I got so the platforms that I'll just
Yeah, give me
regulate.
the list of what you
Yeah, yeah,
use.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have numerology, right? Some people call it gematria. Nobody does gematria. Gematria is coding words into numbers. We don't do that. We decode, so it's numerology. And numerology is the science of numbers. You need to define the numbers, and these are all archetypes. Numbers are personalities, man. Like if a number knocked at your door, it would have a personality. So you can read the people and the personality of numerology. So that we really kind of start. This is where like really where I started. So when I do my readings, I always do numerology first, not because I favor it, but because it's just kind of the methodology that I have. But numerology everything connects to everything. So if you're born on the 23rd, right, you're going to be connected to the element vanadium on the periodic table, element number 23. And then vanadium is going to have an isotope, which is going to be 51. And you're connected to the 51, right? And then you have the neutrons there, 51 minus 23. You're going to get the neutrons of the element. There's going to be a number there for you that you can connect to. You're connected to even though you're not born on January 23rd, you're connected to January 23rd, February 23rd. These are all in sequence. You're connected to the 23rd number in the golden ratio. You're connected to the 23rd number in the string of pi, 3.14. And these mathematical equations are absolutely huge because they make up part of the source code but that makes up the final product. We have prime numbers, 23 being tied to the number 83. So we have prime numbers. We can look at sine and cosine waves, which is like the fingerprint of each number. Those are going to bring some value to the table. I've done all this. Like I've done how-to series on how to do all this decoding. It's amazing. Even making up own ciphers. Now, I
Wow.
mean, I've made up so many to cater to the decode that I'm doing. The guy who invented the soccer ball, the soccer ball that we know it. Think of it this way, right? The most popular sport in the world is football, soccer. We call it soccer in the US, right? What would the odds be that there's on the soccer ball, there is a 5-pointed star, the pentagram, and then
Mhm.
you have the hexagram. There's
Right.
a 5 and a 6 on the soccer ball. And the words lights, camera, action in Chaldean numerology equal 56, which is tied to Ra, the sun, right? Why would the most popular sport in the world have a 5 and a 6 right on the ball? Like the guy that created it, man, I showed, the icosahedron. I showed how that guy that made that soccer ball popular in the 1970s, he was supposed to. That was what he was supposed to do, along with other things, not just that one thing. But this is the methodology that we do. We look, we see, we observe, we connect. It's just that simple.
Is there any value of prediction in what you do?
Oh
Like, are
yeah, but
you
I
able
don't.
to? Yeah.
Yeah, but I stray away from the predictions
Mhm.
because if you get it wrong, man, people lay you up, and I've
Yeah,
been
that's
wrong
true.
many times.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've gotten, like, I did the Super Bowls. I've gotten 3 out of the 4 last Super Bowls correct. I got the last one. I bombed in the last one. So, people don't remember the ones you get right. They only want to crucify you
Right.
once
Remember the ones you get
you get
wrong.
wrong. So yeah, so it was for fun, for sports, and my buddy Jordan at Waters Above, big shout out to him. He's really good at doing the sports as well. And he's a great decoder, great friend of mine. So we bounce ideas off of one another. So
Yeah, I've heard him talk on Archaics,
yeah, he's
and
amazing. He's
yeah,
an amazing person.
yeah. I think one of the people in the chat here says that I need to talk to him next.
Oh yeah, he's amazing too, man. I mean, he's a 33rd card to deck. He's born on March 16th, 316. That three.
Okay.
No, take his birthday for example, March 16th, right? On the Gregorian calendar, that's 316. Well, what is a big scripture that uses the 316? How about John 3:16? One of the most popular scriptures they use at sporting events. For God loved the world so much that he gave up his only begotten son, right? John 3:16. Well, he's born in the 3:16. The March 16th card is the 33rd card in the deck. How coincidental that the 33rd card in the deck, the 7 of diamonds, which is the age of the crucifixion, is tied to 316 on the Gregorian calendar, right? Because it's all scripted. It's all so beautifully articulated.
That's so interesting. Now the cards were a new thing for me. These you have these certain spreads, right?
Yep.
And how many cards are in those?
Well, there's 52 cards in a deck, right? In a playing deck cards. There's 52 cards in here. And these are an oracle in themselves. So why are there 52? Because there's 52 weeks in a year. And there are how many suits? 4. How many seasons? 4. How many cards per suit? Ace, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the king, 13 cards. Guess how many weeks there are per season? 13. So these are embedded into nature. We come from the dirt. We go, but your bones are made of dirt. Your calcium, these are minerals that are from the dirt. That's why we have to eat the minerals to replenish. And the body needs 91 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, your omegas, your amino acids. This is all part of what it means to be matter. We are the spirit into matter, the sun becoming. So these have a lot of value in narrating and telling you how you're coded in this reality. And there's a science to this because, like, this book right here, there's 90 of these spread. They're called solar spreads, and there's 90 of them. So you look to your birthday and you can kind of predict what your yearly cycle is going to look like.
Oh, okay.
Your Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, your moon, your Phoenix card. Your Phoenix card is the 13th card, and this is a big deal.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that
Yep.
when we talked, the Phoenix card.
Yep. I just decoded the moon landing.
Oh,
I
did
haven't
you?
released it yet. Yeah, I've done it once, but I did it with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, the guys supposedly who landed on the moon first. Neil Armstrong, the first guy, right? And they were both 38 years young. 38 is tied to Ra, So
Oh wow.
yeah, they both 38 is tied to Ra. Absolutely.
And they were on the Apollo, right?
Apollo 11.
Sun, Ra.
Yep. Apollo is the sun, man. So it's all. Ra is. God, it's ridiculous how much emphasis is on Ra in this reality. The half-life of Ra, of radium is Ra's element. The half-life of it in science is element number 226 is 1,600 years. And that's just purely coincidental, right? That the White House in Washington, D.C. has an address of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
You mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about Google in Mountain View? Their address, 1600 Amphitheater Way. Why would Google have 1600 and why would the White House would have it? Because it's all about Libra. And the White House, they broke ground and they moved in on a Libra rising. Yeah. Yeah. The White House, November 2nd. Yep. So it's Lib-Ra. People pronounce it Libra. It's Lib-Ra. Uranus, Rahu. How much Ra references in astrology? It's ridiculous.
And Ra is neither evil nor good, right?
Well, in Hebrew, he would represent calamity.
Okay.
Yeah, because the word Ra means calamity or evil in Hebrew. So Isaiah 45 verses 7, where Yahweh says, I create Shalom and Ra, that's the dualistic demiurge talking. So it's like a personality, you could say. It's kind of how I
Okay.
look at it. Right hand path, shalom. Left hand path, ra,
It's,
sin.
and so, I mean, let's get deep here. So what do you think all that's for then? I mean, is it for our souls to learn? Or are we just playing a video game? And
Playing out a movie, man.
yeah,
We're in a reality show. We're in a video game. We're being used as instruments. So the way I look at it, as people say, well, can you tell me that since you're asking? Okay, well, when we're the soul below, right? So the as above controls the soul below, right? There's a spiritual war going on. There's a war going on in here. Okay. So when we create something, like I own a Samsung. Now, if I ask you, do you think the guy or group of people or women, whoever created the Samsung phone, do you think they've ever used it at least one time? Do you think they've ever made a phone call on the Samsung phone, or used it? Do you think that's possible? Or you think I'm crazy?
I'm sure they've used it.
Yeah. Like the car you drive, Henry Ford, do you think he drove a Ford once or twice?
Probably the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why is it so far-fetched to think that whatever created this reality doesn't want to play its own game and experience it, just like we experience our own products that we make? Logical, right? Logical and critical thinking here. So my thoughts and process, when I look at Dakota and I see that everything is scripted and we live in a predestined world, meaning you don't have the control that you think you have. What's using you? Well, I mean, we could also postulate that all the stars in the sky you're attached to one of those stars, and that's your representative. That's your spirit in the sky that's controlling you. And that spirit wanted to come down and say, you know what? I'm going to go play that game called life. I mean, Westworld, the movie Westworld in 1973, Michael Crichton, and then HBO made a series out of it. Huge success. Was all about control. But they were able to go to Westworld and they would go and sit and be able to shoot up the robots that were there. And they would be able to kill them like they were real, but they weren't real. So when we watch a movie so the same analogies, when we watch a show and we start to get emotionally involved with the show, why are we getting emotionally involved with something that's not even real? Because you can't separate between what's real and what's not real in that scheme of things. So this is what the Truman Show tried to get out, is that you're being watched, you're in a show, it's a reality show, and there are cameras everywhere. It's called the all-seeing eye. And you don't have this freedom that you think you have, right? So the luxury in decoding yourself through astrology, numerology is the value in that. That's a luxury. So if you're here and you're like a fan of astrology, numerology, human design, Enneagram, personality types, Mayan astrology, I mean, the list goes on and on. Well, those are the tools that you could take to look at and see how you're coded to figure out, okay, what am I doing here? What's my purpose? What am I doing?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. That's how I feel about astrology, because it helped me know my code. At least, well, now there's more that I need to know, obviously, with the cards and the alchemy and all of that. But
Yeah.
from what I've just knowing my chart so well, where every single placement in my chart is at any given moment, and where the sky, where that is resonating with my natal chart, knowing that has helped me immensely. Like, I happen to life now. It doesn't happen to me. And but it's not because I've gained more control. It's because I've embodied and surrendered into what it is that I'm here to do.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you said something else too about, like, you went over it real quick, but it kind of stuck in my brain for a second. You were talking about how maybe we created the game for ourselves to play, and that when we look at the stars, we that's us, maybe kind of looking back down on us. And then I just got in my mind, that was what don't we watch the sky? I mean, have you guys ever been outside, like literally outside, to look at the sky and watch Venus and the stars and the galactic center, and just to see there and just let the stars sing to you? There's almost something supernatural about it.
Totally.
I feel like.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was, I just, you had kind of gone by that, and that came up in my brain. I wanted to share that. So yeah, I kind of like that idea. But I also like the idea that there's not judgment about what it is that we're here to do either. Right? Because you often talk about, like Hitler or Mussolini, and they're here to do this job. They're here to catalyze this transformation. They're here to wake people up, or to, have them serve whatever the purpose is in a different way than what you normally would expect.
Yeah.
So no judgment, right? You can't judge Hitler, right?
No judgment. No, because once you start to see, I mean, for me, it's undeniable that we live in a scripted, predestined reality. So yeah, I mean, I decoded Hitler. I decoded World War II. I showed how, how he had no choice. He didn't have a choice but to do what he was. I mean, think of the role that guy got. Like he played the nemesis, man. He played the antagonist. He played the villain. I like the ancient proverb. It says, when the game is over, the king and pawn go back in the same box. And I think that really has a lot of merit to it because, not everybody incarnates to play the good character. I've decoded serial killers from like Ted Bundy. I've decoded the cannibal guy. I mean, they don't have choice. They didn't have choices. I know people can't, some people can't accept that. But if I don't have a choice, right? And I've decoded my parents. No choices, man. They're just following the script. Why would Ted Bundy have a choice? Why would O.J. Simpson have a choice? I decoded him. I've done the whole trial. I did the whole trial, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, and I decoded all of them were supposed to. And the thing is that what if, and I postulated this, what if, and this may be a thing, right? People that believe in karma. What if maybe Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman were really nasty people in their past life, and that's what they had to experience in this life? They had to get murdered. Whoever did it.
Yeah, I mean, there is that philosophy for sure. Yeah. And there, I mean, the whole thing is like, do we really have individual choice and freedom, or are we fated and destined to certain things? And I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of both. I feel like you always say it's door number 1, 2, or 3. It's like you can.
Well, that's the illusion, though, for me, right? I get that, right? So you have 3 doors. Like, oh, well, I'll show you. I'll go, and I usually go this way. I'll go that way. But how are you to prove that you're in control of saying I'm going to go that way? Right. I think that's the illusion. Is like, okay, you have all these timelines lined up for you, right? You have all these paths that you take. Sometimes they're very subtle, the path that you take. Sometimes the chapter is massive. Like I went to prison, right? That was, for me, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I don't shirk away from it. And it changed my life. That was a big move towards something more grandiose. That were my whole life. During 2008, I was in real estate, and I was with a woman. She was my fiance. Just bought her a ring, spent a ton of money on it. My car got stolen. I shipped it overseas. Never got payment for that. Lost that. She lost the ring. She broke up with me. Lost my job. The market crashed, and then I got indicted. Right. That was the major. That was my life. Oh my God, that was a doozy.
Sounded like a great year.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to go through it again. Of course, I wouldn't sign up to go through those things. But it was when I went to prison and I read over 100 books. I wasn't even a reader, so that was the opportunity. That the universe, you call it God, whatever, gave the opportunity through my script to make the changes, and I did. And now that was the catalyst for me to start studying Born Rich and Bob Proctor and Jim Rome and all these greats that I started to study through personal development, Master Key System, The Secret, all that. That's what got me started on my demise. And then I went into prison and I learned how to meditate, and I was coaching people in prison. I read over 100 books. Much of it was personal development, but then I started getting books on numerology in prison, and that's what I started to really get interested in.
Really inspired you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the books found me. The books find me. The books find you. Yeah, the movies find you. Like just tonight, I went to the gym, right, just before I came here. And what I like to do is I grab my phone, I put my headphones on, I get on my cardio machine, and I click on all the list of my songs, and I say to myself, "Thank you, show me a sign." And I just close my eyes and I scroll, and then I stop, and the song comes on. And of course, what was the song tonight? It was called The Natural One by the Folk Implosion. I'm the one, natural one. Just decoded Ra, right? So the message was, I'm the one, I'm the natural one, right? And natural's 26 and Yoda's 26. So I just laugh at these things now because I'm so in tune with it, and it's just talking to me directly, and I just have gratitude. Now
it's almost like you've developed a way to see your synchronicity glasses on, like how super focused. You can see more than other people can see, and so you would think that with this sort of idea that we don't have control and that we're being manipulated, or maybe not manipulated, but scripted into this reality, that you would sort of have some kind of I don't know, like a bad demeanor, but you don't. So many times you say through your decodes, this is so magical. Like
It's magical.
you can hear the like the childlike wonderment of the discovery of these connections.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's what's so interesting about this kind of work. It's like you see these things, and if you have the eyes to see them and the ears to hear it, it can really, really change the way you experience this
For
reality.
sure. I mean, think about what age we're moving away from, seemingly, right? We're moving away from Pisces, which was like, paper, printing presses, Bible, that we're moving away from physical goods into digital goods, right? We're moving into Kindles and navigation on the phone and digitization. That's Aquarius, man, ruled by Uranus, right? So if you got to get to know what Uranus is all about. And, if you're a fan of astrology, I think it's undeniable that the age is here now. Like
Yeah.
are we in Aquarius right now? Maybe not, but we're on the threshold if we're not in there.
We might even be able to say that the zodiacal tropical ages are not are more of a modern construction in our collective understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a Uranian age. I was just talking to my husband earlier today. I was like, he was getting the grocery list together, and I was like, you know what? We ought to just get that fridge that keeps track of everything and then orders it from the grocery store for us, and then we can just get, we don't have to think about it. He's like, I don't want them knowing what's in my fridge. I'm like, they already do.
They already know. Yeah. That's it, man. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I know a lot of people are really afraid. I see a lot of people. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to take that. What if you don't have a choice? I just think you need to flow, man. I'm an outlaw and a rebel, and I say no to a lot. Like, I don't want to be under the guise of the government. Where was the box to check off when I was 18 to say, do you want to be under the guise of the government? No, didn't get that choice, right?
Nope.
So I'm a rebel, man. I take a lot of chances. I'm an outlaw. I'm a rebel, and that's. I have a strong Uranian presence in my chart. So Uranus. Remember, Uranus is the OG of the zodiac, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a primordial. He's not part of the Olympian and Titan crew. So you're getting the OG of OGs coming back, man.
And that means it may mean chaos, but within chaos, you can also create.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Like, as long as you're willing to also sort of let go.
I think surrendering
Right?
is the most important asset you could do at this point. But how do you surrender? Well, like I said, when I do a reading for somebody, I spend 3 hours and I go through. I leave no stone unturned that I can find. I roll them all open, and at the end of the reading, at that point, if you're not convinced that you live through astrology, numerology, I mean, I don't know what else to say, right? So when you start to see with your own eyes the convictions of, oh my God, that's totally me, and that's totally me, and and there's so many totally me's. Well, then how would you chalk it up to I have control when that's totally you, and the defining moment is, So these celestials, they could be, maybe they could be feeding off of us. They could be harvesting our energy, like the loosh that's talked about, and harvesting for gold in the Anunnaki. It could be the celestials that are harvesting energy off of our emotions. So so I always say, like, people pull their Mars card out. When people start to come at you and they get angry, they want to start a fight, they want to debate. That's Mars energy. So it's like, are you going to entertain that? When you get neutral in the middle path, you can look at the person and say, not really interested. It's a tall order, because if you're programmed to just attack when somebody attacks you, you're not consciously aware that you're attacking, you'll just continue to do it until you become aware of it. So I think we're becoming aware. The Aquarian age, I think we're going to start to use telekinesis. We'll be able
I agree. I think all of that is possible.
Yeah.
Faster than light travel, teleport.
Yeah.
I think we can do it. I think we can definitely do
it. The big question, though, that I would ask the audience is, like, okay, I remember when I grew up, we had rotary phones on the wall with the long ass cord. And then I remember when pagers came out, right?
Yeah, we had pagers.
Yeah. And then you could actually call the operator and say, okay, type this in. And then you have the scrolling pager where it would actually give you a message. That was
an alpha text. Yep.
The alpha text, right. That was the big thing. Then the bag phones came out, Miami Vice, and the bag phones came out. Then the big ass phones with the long antennas came out. Then finally, I remember the Razor phone was like huge. The Motorola Razor phone, the V3 Razor phone, that came out. So the question I have is, you see the transition of what we've gone from What's the next stage of this?
I mean, I hate
Where are we
leaving this
going with
thing.
this?
It's got to be implanted, right?
It's got to be, man, because I just can't see this. I mean, rotary phones are no longer cassette. Nobody uses cassette tapes anymore. Nobody uses a Rand McNally map to get around. You use navigation. We're getting into auto driving cars. That's unless something huge comes where it shakes the earth and removes all the technology in the world. That just doesn't line up with the age of Aquarius. It just doesn't line up to take that all away.
Right. And I don't think it's all bad either.
I don't.
You know, some of it might be, and you know, part of it is giving up that individuality that we so identify with, because we are moving into a collective energy, and not like the Borg, not like the drones, but like it's not just about you and your privacy. It's about you being part of this bigger thing. And
Aquarius is social circle house, right?
What's that?
Aquarius is the social circle house and social media, social circle house, social media, www. Why the www? Tied to Ra. The W is tied to the crown, right? Three wwws, right? So, yeah, I mean, Aquarius is here, man. The pouring out, and Saturn's right now in the bowl. I think it's still hanging around there. It's sitting in the bowl being poured out. Saturn's right there. Cronus is right there. So a lot of revealing. Judge coming in to reveal everything.
Yeah, and it is also testing the limits of what we are willing to accept right now too. Like what individual freedoms are we willing to give up for the collective good? That's been the challenge of Saturn through Aquarius. So
yeah, for sure.
Let me see if there's some other things I wanted to think about with you. Oh, when we were you did say the Phoenix card. Tell me what that is again.
Well, so in the card deck, there's the ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king. That's 13 cards. So when you look at your spread in the card system, when I open up the card system and you start with a card, you're going to count 13 cards in the lineage of those cards. There's a methodology to do it. You go from right to left, top to bottom. And when you get to your card number 13, that's kind of the card of liberation. Like, when I decoded the moon landing, the damn Phoenix card, the Phoenix has landed. It was all tied to Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin's Phoenix card. It's so scripted. It's ridiculous. The moon landing, whether it happened or not, doesn't matter. Fiction, nonfiction.
Right. It's all written in the field.
It's all in the field, plain entanglement. Yep. So the Phoenix card is like your card of liberation.
Okay. And you have a birth card too, right? So you have a birth card.
The birth card, you have a spirit card. Most people have 4 primary cards that are attached to you. You have your ego card and your handle. I call it the handler card. It's the spirit card, the card that runs your ego card. And then you have 2 partner cards. They're often called karma cards. I call them partner cards. So most people have 4 primaries, but if you look at your 13 spread, you also have that. So it's a system that you have to look at. Besides the 4 primaries, you have the 13 cards in your spread, including your Phoenix card. So, yeah. So you can take those cards, and guess what you can do with them? You can synchronize them with your astrological chart.
And the tarot.
And of course, the tarot gives us the picture.
Right.
Gives us the picture, yeah. So these are, and the numbers all sync up, even though you have 21 major arcana, and then you go to the 56 minor, it doesn't matter. It's still going to line up the numbers anyway.
Which was first, the playing cards or the tarot?
Playing cards.
Yep. And they're older, right? They're way older than the tarot.
Well, that's debatable. I mean, 13th, 14th century, but I'm just regurgitating. I can't prove that. History is like, even if somebody like, okay, Jason from Archaics, right? He's a very, very intelligent, mad respect for him. But a lot of the history that he's decoding, I mean, come on, let's be honest. A lot of it is bullshit history. You know, like a lot of the history we could say is like, that didn't really happen, but it's in the tabloids. It's in the text. But he went over the playing cards. He went all through that, but my take on it is if you weren't there, there's no way to really say that it happened that time frame. You can decode it for sure. You can decode these time frames, and he's the master at that. The timelines and chronology, that's his forte. He's born to do that, right? Why do you think he went to prison 26 years? He studied the
I think
timeline.
he's read every book and he's found some
That's well,
amazing
absolutely. He's
synchronicities
a
for
genius.
sure.
Yeah. So he's like super intelligent. He was born to do it. My mad respect to that guy. He made lemonade out of going to prison. That's what he did. And now he's getting the dividends paid because he's now helping people navigate their lives. And now he's got his own program called Ophis, which is the serpent. Really interesting stuff, man. But he's a great person.
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought about the name of it and the numerology around it when I was listening
Well,
to the
it's Ophis.
presentation.
Yeah. Well, Ophis is the Greek word, and that equals 69,
Okay.
which is the yin yang, right? So the serpent, the serpent is right in the yin yang symbol. It's the S is right in that separates the yin from the yang. It's right there. So, yeah, it's just extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And the serpent means the game of life. In the tarot, it's the 5 of Pentacles from the 5 of Diamonds. Yeah, Ophis is the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. So,
do I have my cards here? No, I don't. Just to see what it looks like.
oh, the tarot?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they're walking under that stained glass, right?
Yeah,
Let
me get it and I'll show you. The 69th card in the tarot is the 5 of Pentacles. And the 5 of Pentacles is a card of the yin yang, right? Here it is right here. So when you look at these people, they're outside, it's cold, one's on crutches, the other lady's like a bag lady. Well, this represents the yin yang because what's behind them is the church. That's a church window. So what this card is alluding to is that if you want to have salvation, you got to go into the church. That's what the 5 of Pentacles means. But to me, that's going to get you reincarnated no matter what. See, the choice of like, what's the obvious choice? Do you want to stay outside and be cold and have crutches, or do you want to go inside that church where it's warm and comfortable? And well, obviously, that's why people go to churches. That's why churches are huge with rehabilitation and alcoholics and drug addicts, and they offer salvation to you, right? Which it does, it works, right? It gets you from the demon to the angel, right? That's what but see, this game needs people. This game needs people to be sober because it uses people to continue to create. Like people have to procreate to keep the game going. What is procreation based off of? Love.
be fruitful and multiply.
That's it. And love has to be the winner in the game of life, because if you had evil win, it would completely eliminate the game. So love always has to win. That's why if you look at the markers in the blood, right? The blood, the pH of the blood, it's slightly alkaline. It's slightly love. It's not massively love. It's just 7.3, 7.4 pH. It means it's just right over the 7 mark. It's slightly love. And this is the law of 1. The law of 1.
Right. I was just going to say, law of 1 has that 51%.
You got to be 51%. That's slightly love. That's it. That's the middle path. To me, the middle path is the way out, I feel. But the way to the winning hand for the reality of this game, which is a fun game, if you got a good code, a lot of people didn't get a good code. Right. So I get it, but I mean, who would want to go to prison? Who here would raise their hand and say, yeah, I'll do 24 months. That's what I got, 24 months. I served 18, halfway house. I did about 20 months. Who would want to do that? Nobody here would sign up for that. Right. So did I get a good code? Not during that time frame. I didn't. Been addicted to drugs. I've beaten drug addiction. I've beaten depression. Who'd want that? Nobody. But that's what I got. And I'm grateful that I went through all those things, because now I can help people not go towards those things in life. Right. Like we talked about you and you being a doctor and all those people that you saved. Like that's, you saved lives, man. That's like, what a code to get.
There's a dark side to it.
There always is a dark side to it. It's not just the road to light, man. There has to be a dark side to keep you in check.
Yeah. There's an ability to compartmentalize, when you have to do those sorts of things.
Sure.
But it always gets me, I'm always good until I see family. Like how the family's feeling about it, then I'm like, because I'm identifying with the family instead of the problem.
Well, that's the tricky thing, right? Like I say, your opinions don't pay my bills, but that's the challenge. Is see, we're so egoic that when somebody attacks you, you are more than likely going to program to fight back. I still struggle with this today. Like I get a lot of persecution. I pump out these videos. People don't like the way I talk. They don't like the way I look. They don't like this. They don't like that. They think I know it all because I talk like I'm very confident, right? But this is why I put my disclaimer. These are my opinions and truths. Because listen, it's not about me, man. But if you don't agree, cool. But I still get people. I get a lot of persecution, and I've struggled with this over the years, where I would start to debate people, and then I would try to be right. They're trying to be right. No, both of us are right. Trying to prove each other wrong.
That's the sin trying to suck you in. That's what that is.
That is the energy we're being harvested for. Debating is like one of the major energy harvesting layers to this. Is debating, arguing. It's the worst thing you can do is argue. Trying to prove somebody wrong. That's Mars Central.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't like to argue and debate things. I'm like, if you don't want to come along to this amazing like journey, then don't. I mean, like it's good. It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah.
So I looked at my card. And it was a 9 of diamonds, right?
Diamonds,
that's based on your birthday, right?
Yep.
And it goes through the whole year, and it'll repeat. So there'll be more than one date of the year that's got the same card.
Yeah. So
right.
I know this is going to kind of be upside down, but so this is the chart for ground zero, and there it's upside down, but there's your 9 of diamonds right there. So you start here and you go this way to read your Mercury card is the 7 of spades, right?
Okay.
Your Mercury card's the 7 of spades. What is the 7 of spades? The mystic. So the way you think is through mysticism, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so, right? And then so I can take that 7 of spades and look at where's your Mercury placement in your chart?
Mercury is in Cancer in the 2nd house.
Okay, and so now you got to look to your moon placement because the moon rules the sign of Cancer, right? The 2nd house.
Capricorn 9.
All right, well now we're getting somewhere. Then you got to look at Taurus and the ruler in Venus. So now Venus is connected to Mercury and Capricorn because you got to take a look at all the lords and all that kind of stuff. But you're a mystic. Your brain works on mysticism. And then your Venus card is the 2 of clubs, which is the card of Elon Musk. That's the card of the futurist. So your Venus energy, however you feel about Venus, is the futurist. Like you're looking at the future, you're creating your own future. And I'm going to tell all of you here listening a very important thing, probably the most important thing that I can share with anybody here tonight. And I say this with all my readings, and I sincerely mean what I'm about to tell you. And what I want to tell you is that, and this is to everybody listening, right? You are the only reason why this reality exists. You are the nucleus. You are the star of the show, meaning that I only exist because you invited me here by clicking on this link, or you invited me here by Dr. Danny here, right? We exist because you clicked on the link. So we marketed, or somebody marketed to you, oh, hey, watch the podcast. And how did you do that? Because maybe you're subscribed. Or maybe that YouTube, the algorithms was trying to push this video to you, right? But you, talking to everybody here, you are the nucleus of this reality. You're the star of the show. And everybody outside of you, the close people, that's your cast, your co-stars, right? And your entourage. And then when you go out onto the world stage and you start driving your car, you're making those cars real. They're only real because you're plugged into the game. If you don't wake up tomorrow, man, the game's over. So this is why it's so important to study your code and realize, like, I'm the shit. I'm the most important person in this entire world for me, right? And that's not being egoic. That's what I know. And then I have a job to do, right? My role is I have this role to do. So, and Dr. Danny, you have your role. So I become minuscule in your life. I may become someone who can partner with you. We're doing an entanglement here, sharing some space, doing a collaboration. But at the end of the day, man, I don't have to feed your dinner tonight, right? You're going to do all that stuff. Even with your husband, man, he's your co-star. You're the star of the show. And it's a contradiction. He becomes the star of the show. So this is the big thing to consider. And that's why when I do a reading for somebody, I will tell them that we'll look at your numerology, right? Well, the true essence of numerology is when I do your name numerology, let's say your name numerology equals 53. I'm going to tell you, you own the 53. No one in the entire world is attached to that 53. Now, I know you may not believe that, But you see, when you know that you're the nucleus, you're the Neo character, and you create everything in this reality outside of you, that 53, you own it. It's yours. The astrology chart, you own all of the celestial activity. There's no sharing here because when you die, man, all those people, everybody, they're eliminated. We don't know what happens after that. But when the eyes close and the spirit leaves the body, if that's the way it works, the spirit is no longer engaged in the reality. The game is done. You make up everything in this reality. I talked individually, right? I'm making you up. You're making me up. We invited each other here.
It's such a mind-blowing thing to kind of put together, isn't it? Like to really come to that realization.
That's what I'm being told to tell. I'm channel, like we all channel. You channel, I channel. When you say to somebody, "Oh my God, I just had a great thought," you're channeling. You don't need to do a different face and
no, you don't.
You don't have to do Bashar and Darylenka and all these channelers. That's what they do. I'm channeling when I talk, right? That's whatever's using me is channeling through me. And when I do a reading, I'm channeling and I'm looking and I'm telling somebody, and I have my own methodology, right, on how to do that. But everybody here channels. You have a conversation to your friend, and your friend gets something beneficial out of that, and you just help them off the walk, just help them off the bridge. You've channeled that.
That's been kind of the theme of late with some of my clients that I've been talking to, is they're getting more and more clear images and messages, and they're not sure if they're crazy. Like, well, no, you're not.
Well, consider, how about right now, the collective astrology wheel, where's Rahu right now? Rahu is in Pisces, man. Yeah. And we're talking Rahu. It's so interesting because Rahu is like the demon, right? Rahu's like the boat on the water, and it's just like, I'm going that way. And it leaves this massive wake behind it. And there's people flipping over their boats. Rahu doesn't care about the effects. It's just, I want the cause. I want, it's desire, right? K2 on the other end's like, dude, you go do that. I've been there, and I'm all about the spirituality, right? But Rahu but Rahu comes into Pisces now.
Yeah.
It's like, he has to bow down to the spirituality now. And it's kind of a rough patch for Rahu when you know how Rahu works, the dragon's head, because the dragon head wants the materialism, it wants the money, it wants the cars, the boats, the girlfriend, the boyfriend. Well, it moves into spirituality. Now it's like, oh my God, I got to be a mystic here. Yeah. You do. And Poseidon's back there in its hometown, Poseidon being the ruler. So now you have a mystic inside of a mystical house, and Rahu being forced. And Chiron's in there too. So this is why people are really they're being forced upon.
Yeah, it's very emo right now.
Way. Yeah, it's awesome.
Hotel Pisces.
Hotel Pisces, baby. Yeah, so it's very, it's very
an intense party.
Human-like. It's a human-like experience. Pisces being very aristocrat, and Pisces being the feet, and stuff, and the grounding. Jesus being the fisher of men across the way, Virgo, the virgin, Jesus being born of a virgin, Jesus coming in the age of Pisces saying, this is not my kingdom. Follow the guy into the house, into Aquarius, Luke 22 verses 10. That's where I'm going to be. So,
yeah, you also see a lot of ancestral energy, I feel like, with the South there too, like previous lives and things like that coming through. And Black Moon Lilith is right there.
Oh, okay.
And she's the for me, she's like Nyx, the primordial darkness, the chaos creating creation without the seed, right? And so we can all do that. And I think we can. I mean, at least that's what my program tells me. And she's the key to that. And so we're remembering that through our ancestors, healing those ancestral traumas. Like it ends with us, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the ancestry stuff too is because of Saturn in Aquarius. Aquarius is the house of social circles. People are being tied back to lost siblings. I've had some friends that have had that happen. That's, Saturn being the timeline being put back into social circles, the bowl being poured out. So this is another reason why we're having these recollections, stuff like that, ancestrally.
Yeah. It's amazing. What an amazing time to be alive.
Oh yeah. The greatest time.
For real.
Yeah, not every day, but most days.
Yeah. Let me check in with my chat here. I think they've been all chatting with each other, having a good time. Let's see if anybody wants to. People are asking where to find the card chart.
Well, you can go to a website called, I'm working on my own, but let me see. It's called Grand Solar Spread. Let me see. I think it's Grand Solar Spread. So you have Aquarius Maximus. That's another website. And knowyourdestinycards.com, I think. Let me see. Let me just double check.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I used to have all these things memorized, and now I don't. Because I have all of them on Photoshop. Okay. This one. Yeah. So knowyourdestinycards.com. Let me get the solar spreads. Okay. Let's see.
So let's see. Okay, that's thing one. And then Darius says, can you touch on Pluto entering Capricorn? And then Giovanni asked about X-Files season 11, episode 2.
Ooh, yeah, baby.
Whichever one you'd like to go first.
Well, let's talk about that. Season 11, episode 2. That episode was about Fox Mulder, and he got the main star of the show got a message on his phone from this guy, this scientist. And the scientist says, hey, we're stuck in a digital prison. You got to go kill, you got to eliminate the source.
Right. Like the video game was talking back.
We're all slaves in here. We can, he's like, cause he says, well, what's going on there? We can have whatever we want. So the plus was anything you want, you can have it. The downside is he's like saying we're slaves and we're being used in this digital prison. Now that kind of sounds a lot like the paradise, right? If the paradise, is it possible that the biblical paradise will be the digital paradise? Because now you can get into Minority Report, the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, and that was all about the crime prevention unit, right? Mm-hmm. How would you create a crime prevention unit? Well, you would be able to take all like right now, you, me, and everybody else. Your information is being gathered about your likes, your dislikes, your Spotify, your YouTube playlist, all the videos that you've watched on YouTube, all the posts you made on social media, that's all being gathered, and it's being gathered to know who you are as a human being. Well, then you take that, clump it all together, and now let's bring in the astrological chart, and let's run that through a computer. And condense that all down. Let's add the numerology, the Enneagram, the personality types. Why are all these systems, human design, why are all they exploding on the scene right now? Because it's time. So you take all these systems with all your likes, with all your playlists, where you shop. There's nothing private anymore. You're always being listened in on. It's unavoidable. You can use this ridiculous, I'll use the proton mail. And that ain't private, man. What are you talking about? I'll use it at the end. Oh, you think that's private? No. No. So then you throw that into a computer and you run and now out spits what? Exactly probably what that person's going to do on the daily. Because we're all habitual. Like if you go to Starbucks, you probably go every day. Or if you don't go every day, it'll be 3 times a week. The computer will monitor that. Okay, there's a pattern over a year. They go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But they don't do it every week, but there's still a pattern. They go every 3 weeks, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So there will always be patterns. This is what Jason from our Kicks is doing.
That's what I was just going to say. You're referring to the pattern break. Like
that's doing the patterns.
That's how you trick the system a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. So when you take all these condensing things and these materials along with astrology and the mystical art, which is exploding, and the decoding. Now you add the decoding into this. Now you have Minority Report, which is now you're able to prevent crimes. Because then I can, like, if I see a Ted Bundy, an astrological chart of Ted Bundy, right? And then I see how he's raised, what kind of family he's raised in, what kind of school he goes to, how his marks are in his report card. All this stuff, all these kids are being monitored. You have a good shot at really predicting the future.
But I wonder who interprets it.
Well, the computer does, right? The computer's the demigod. Mm-hmm. The quantum. If there's a thing about there's a show on BBC. It was in 1968. It was called The Newsbenders. I did a decode on it, right? And the show was about the ivory tower. This group of people who they would control the news by inputting things into the computer, and the computer will spit out simulations on what they should do next. So it's a thing. It's a thing, right? It's a
Yeah.
thing. But you got to
Yeah.
understand that, let's say that that's true. Let's hypothetically say that that's what the people at the higher positions are doing. They're taking scenarios, real life simulations, they're plugging them into a quantum computer, and the quantum computer is spitting out like, okay, this is option one. If you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, but then they have to make the choice. Well, then I just automatically go back to the organic code. The choice is in the brain. This is not your own. So the thought is like, oh, we'll sit at the table. We'll pick which one do you want to pick? We're going to vote on it. Who's doing the voting? Your mind is, and that's under the guise of the supernatural, God, Ra, Yod, however you want to say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I chalk it up. So to me, it's you can try to go non-organic, you can go artificial with a quantum computer, but it goes right back to organic again, right? Unless, of course, you give the quantum computer complete control, and it starts to have a mind of its own. And that, as you know, and everybody here knows, that's a thing right now. This is possibly the rise of the machines that we've been programmed with. Terminator,
Yeah.
Matrix.
You think that's Pluto Capricorn kind of energy?
Well, Pluto goes into Capricorn in around 2041, the time that Jason talks about the Phoenix event happening.
That's Aquarius.
2040. I mean, Aquarius.
Yeah. So it's in Capricorn, or it's getting ready to do Capricorn
right now. Ready
now.
to do the Capricorn. Yeah, the Capricorn thing. But I think Pluto and Capricorn is just, what is Capricorn? Law, government, order, rules, real estate, money, foundations. So when you have Pluto coming in to match up with that, and then, where Saturn's in Aquarius. So Saturn's setting up the timeline in Aquarius, but Pluto coming into Capricorn. This is why we're seeing you're going to see the demise and fall of these empires, because that's Capricorn. It's Capricorn. So Pluto moving through Capricorn, this is why we're going to get some removal of the deadwood. Systems that are this is transformation. What is transformation in Capricorn? That's transformation of law and government.
Burn the house down and rebuild it.
Burn the house down, man. Yeah. The Great Fire of London and all, that was all, there was a lot of Pluto activity with that. These the American Revolution, the French Revolution. Then remember these things, it's not just Pluto in the placement. It's all of the zodiacs playing out it's a unit. Mercury and Venus, and they all have their say in it.
Mm-hmm. And also how it resonates with your own natal chart, how you manifest through that energy too.
That's right.
If you're having a Pluto square Saturn, it might be a tough time for you. You might go through some prison time or some transformation through the solitude. That kind of thing could happen.
Yep. I like Pluto because it's the Shiva, right? It can be the Shiva where it removes the no longer useful things in our reality. But also remember, Pluto is not just destructive. It comes from the word Plutos. If you don't use Hades, and that's the riches of the underworld. This is the Merovingian in the Matrix.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
A lot of us in this age group, because you and I are around the same age, but people born like from 70 to 75, they will have transiting Pluto trining on their natal Pluto right now. And the thing about Pluto is that it is really fast in the orbit, in this portion of its orbit around the sun from our perspective. So we're seeing it move very quickly. And that Pluto trine shouldn't happen until we're 81 years old. So there's a bunch of us that are getting it before we're supposed to have it in terms of the cycles. So we get to grow up faster. We get to grow up quicker, take the role of the wisdom keepers, because we didn't get it. We got all the programming when we were coming up. And so a lot of us are the first in our family to kind of break open into this type of study and energy and discourse. So yeah, it's super interesting. Pluto's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine you have the same, mine's in Virgo. I'd imagine you have
Virgo. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean,
transiting my 8th house.
8th house. Okay. Mine's over on the other side in the 11th house. So yeah, so it's a little bit different, but yeah, Pluto is amazing.
It's been spectacular.
All of them are. All these celestials they're amazing archetypes.
Yeah. Let's see if anybody has a card they want to ask about. Let's see. They're all breaking pattern right now. I think I saw a Jack of Clubs. Oh, Dr. Walker, Miss Jesus Walker is a Jack of Clubs.
Jack of Clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Jack of Clubs is card number 24. It moves into the Knight of Wands in the tarot, which is card number 34. The Jack of Clubs and the Knight of Wands are tied to the moon. They're also tied to chromium on the periodic table. And chromium is the element of death. It's the 24 hours in a day, right? Jesus in Greek equals 24. So Jesus, Jesus, the Jack, the J, Jesus. So the Jacks really
Our
represent.
first name is Jesus.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, what's interesting about the Jacks is that I did a decode on the I called it The Sound of Crypto. It was with Jim, the actor. It was called The Sound of Freedom. It came out maybe 2 years ago now. And it was about the child stuff.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I started to watch that.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't want to.
Yep. So the guy who they casted to play that was the main guy in Passion of the Christ.
Jim Caviezel.
And the people that created and financed The Sound of Freedom, they're Mormons. The whole Sound of Freedom was financed by the Mormons. And that group of people, when you study that, it's all the Jacks, the Jack of Diamonds, the Jack of Clubs, the Jack of Hearts, and the Jack of Spades. It's all tied to the Mormonism. And it's so interesting with Mormonism and Jesus, right? Because obviously they're a big proponent of that. But the Jack is the Jesus. And the Jesus character is an interesting character, right? Because I look at like Matthew 10 verses 34, Jesus says, I'm not coming with peace, I'm coming with a sword.
I think Dr. Walker's probably going to email you after this podcast because she's got quite an extensive history of study in religions and the mystical stuff. And I know
Awesome.
So I'll plug you, Dr. Walker.
Yeah.
She's really fun too. All right. Yeah, cool. So you said, I guess you told me my Phoenix card. I feel like you told me what it was.
Your Phoenix card.
Because that's what got me curious. And then I think you get so excited and you talk so fast. I'm like, wait, what did you say?
So, okay. This is how synchronized you are to this whole thing. So yesterday, I don't know if you watched the Tower of Ra.
I did. I watched both of them. The last two you did. Yeah.
Okay. You would have seen on the chessboard, I put the 10s in the corners, and the 10s, the 10 of clubs, 10 of diamonds, 10 of spades, 10 of hearts, those represent the castles in chess.
Right. I saw that.
Your Phoenix card is the 10 of clubs.
Oh.
So it's tied to the Tower card.
Okay. Wow.
That card is the card of Madonna's birthday, August 16th, 10 of clubs. It's tied to the word blood. I think I talked to you about this because of what you do. You're a doctor and you're dealing, and I told you this on our first phone call, I think. Is that, oh my God, your Phoenix card is the 10 of clubs, and that's tied to the word blood.
I know. And then you went into some other things, and I was like, wait, what? Okay.
Yeah, it's super connected, but the 10s represent the tower.
Okay.
I got a part 2 coming out because I didn't have enough time I have so much more material. I'm going to be covering the JW organization, Charles Taze Russell, and he came out with the Watchtower. What do you think the Watchtower is? It's Ra. Yeah, Yod is the Ra. Yeah, so you're 10 of clubs, which is, it's card 32 in the tarot, and it's the card of blood. It's got let me pull out the card and I'll show you. I've shown this. You may know this by watching some of my stuff, but let me show you what it's tied to and how magnificent it really is. Well, whether or not Rider-Waite and Deck and Pamela Coleman, who created these cards, I don't know if they did this on purpose like this. I can't even imagine they wouldn't do it on purpose like this because of what you can see here. But let me pull this thing up and show you. Here it is. So this is the tarot card, the 10 of Wands, right? Now this card typically is a card of responsibility, obligation, heavy loads, struggle, right?
Yeah, I definitely know that. Yeah, that card, I can feel that.
Yeah, but this comes from the 10 of clubs, right? This is the card of blood. It's the card of history. Well, don't you think that people during the time through history would be going through these obligations and responsibilities? Yeah, but the big synchronicity here is if I take a double helix DNA, it fits right over those wands. You can see it when you start to look for it. But the double helix fits right over those wands. So if you take a number 8 and you put it right over those wands, that's the double helix, the DNA. Okay. So now that's your Phoenix card, is the 10 of Wands. So there's, tied to Madonna. It's tied to Ra, man. Yeah. The Donna. My mother's got the same birthday as Madonna, August 16th. My mother's name is Donna. No kidding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my life is crazy scripted.
And your card is the 8 of Spades.
8 of Spades, King of Clubs. Yep. So I have the Trapped and Limited cards.
I'm sorry. Tell me again how you go from 8 of Spades. Oh, the 10.
Your
Phoenix card.
No, my Spirit card is the King of Clubs. Okay. So yeah. So your. Let me get my page open.
So we have a birth card. We have a spirit card. Okay.
This is reverse. Why does this camera does reverse? I don't know why that is. It's weird. I didn't do that either.
You might be able to switch that in the on the little wheel down there under settings. I think you can unmirror yourself. I don't like it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, hey.
All right,
it's a whole different side of you, Logan.
Yeah. So when you look at the chart, your 9 of diamonds is going to sit right there where the Queen of Diamonds sits.
Oh, okay.
Your spirit card, your handler card is the Queen of Diamonds.
Okay.
That's what runs you, which again is tied to Ra, because that's card number 38. So we just again simply attach what's the 38th element on the periodic table? Strontium. What's strontium's isotope? 88. What's Ra's element? 88. The 38 is huge. Your spirit card's the 38. If you go into the golden ratio, and you look up I am, right? So if I take the periodic table, right, you could spell a lot of words out on the periodic table, right?
Yeah, I've seen you do that, prison.
Yeah. So like 4 years ago, I came out with a video on, oh my God, I am. It's iodine and americium. It's right on the periodic table. Well, coincidentally, when you add up the isotopes, they equal 369. Wow. So the I am from theology gets to the keys to the universe of Nikola Tesla, right? But it's the 53rd element and the 95th element. So when you measure the 53 and 95 in the string of the golden ratio, those numbers are 8 and 3. 3 and 8, and you're tied to it. The Queen of Diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds is on the liability side, it's the card of the Manchurian Candidate. The guy who was placed in the position of Route 91 in Las Vegas in Paradise, Nevada in 2017. Stephen Paddock. He's a Queen of Diamonds. Martin Luther King, Queen of Diamonds. The kid who shut up Tanzania in Australia, Queen of Diamonds. When you go watch the Manchurian Candidate from 1962, Angela Lansbury and Frank Sinatra and those people, Queen of Diamonds. It's called the Red Queen, tied to Ra. Ra in Judaism is calamity. It's killing. So we have a very big connection here. The element strontium has a big nuclear cloud on it. Explosion, killing.
Wow.
This is the value in chemistry.
So I would probably be suppressed if the Minority Report came out on me.
Well, no, because you're obviously not a Manchurian Candidate in the sense where you're going to be a killer, right? No, you're the opposite of that. I look at reality as assets and liabilities, especially when I do readings. Talk about that. Okay, like what's the asset of Mars in the first house in Aries? What does Mars do in Aries? What's the asset?
He's always ready to go.
But what's the liability of that? Right? There's a liability to Mars being in its own hotel.
Does whatever he wants. Doesn't care.
It can become reckless. You move too fast. Get too angry. Have people that have Mars in the first house. They can have anger issues. So there's always a liability to the asset. So with the 38, So you have the killers, right? And then you have someone like you who's doing the opposite. You're saving lives through your degree and what you've done on the world stage.
I flipped the script. That's what Seeking Truth just said.
Yeah. There you go. Yep. So it becomes really beautiful, especially again, just all we do is simply connect. It's not really the methodology that I use is just connecting this to that. The sixth tarot card to the sixth card of illumination. The sixth element on the periodic table is carbon. We're made up of carbon. What's the sixth card in the major arcana in the tarot? The Lover's card. It's got two people of carbon right on it. That's how easy this is to connect. 6 is the first perfect number in mathematics. 6 is the last day of creation in Judeo-Christianity. Like the 6 is the number after the 1 point on the golden ratio. So that's all we have to do is just get as many things as we can and start to this connects there. And we just putting a puzzle together as a decoder. That's all we're doing. We're putting a puzzle. All I'm doing is solving a puzzle.
Well, I am so excited to learn more from you. So I don't know when your course is coming out, but
yeah, soon. It's coming out soon. I've been saying this for 2 years now, right? But I keep getting distracted by these decodes. These decodes, they won't leave me alone. Then I got a lot of people that want readings. So, I love doing readings because I like seeing people shine.
It's what it's about. It's like
absolutely
connecting them to their true self and their true purpose and letting them know it's okay to be imperfect.
Yep.
It's totally fine. You're here to be who you are and just, love that.
That's it.
And I've seen that light bulb go off so many times, just from knowing your own astrology. It's pretty amazing. So have you found any difference switching astrology in your readings and having people connect? Like, do you find it's more potent and more accurate that the readings that you do for people using constellational astrology?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, you're talking about using mastering the zodiac. Yeah, of course. But again, the value is like I'm a basic astrologer, meaning I don't get into trines and squares, sextiles. There's so much in just the basics that you can look at. And I think that's all you need. So I'm about, okay, who is the owner of the hotel? That's important. Venus runs Taurus, Hotel Taurus. Where's Venus at? If Venus is not in Hotel Taurus, she's going to be affecting Hotel Taurus from another hotel that she's at, that she's visiting. Right. So the basics, I think, is all you need to study. And then you add in the life path and numerology. And now I'm looking at multiple life paths because all of us are born under the Gregorian calendar. But now I just came out with, not too long ago on my website, a brand new calendar and a brand new year, which is just days away. The official new year that I have come to know now is December 13th.
And how did you come to that number?
Well, because I did a decode on the theological matrix, and it was on the first and only time the word matrix in Hebrew was mentioned in the book of Exodus. In the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verses 12, it talks about the matrix being opened. And whenever the matrix is open, the Lord God owns all of that, right? So when I did a decode on that, it led to the fallen, but it led to December 13th. 13 and 12, Exodus 13 verses 12. So when I started, and then of course, where's the sun? Ophiuchus, sitting right there at the footstool of 51 Ophiuchi, man. Yeah. And the numerology of 51 Ophiuchi is 87, which matches the numerology of Jesus in the modern Koine Greek where the Bible was written from.
Wow.
Yep. The serpent bearer, tied to Jesus, tied to Lucifer.
And so you think there's multiple coding and timelines going on right now?
Maybe.
With the different calendars?
Oh, well, I think.
Or you're able to jump. I've seen you jump from.
Yeah, they're all entangled.
Yeah.
So like I can take the Gregorian. What's amazing about decoding, Danny, is you can take the Gregorian calendar and let's say I have like a 567. This is like maybe an outcome of numerology that I get. I could take that 567 and I could subtract 365. And the number that I get, I'll go to that day on the calendar and I'll see what day it is and I'll see what playing card it is. That's a thing that you could do. You could do this. And I learned this from my friend Sharon Jeffers, she's a great card reader. She's been doing it a long time. Playing cards, that's really where I got started with these things right here. So she says the rules of the playing cards is if you do a numerology of a name and you get to, there's 52 cards in a deck. If you get above 52, you just simply subtract 52 until you get to 52 or below. So I took that methodology and I started applying it to the Gregorian calendar. So like numbers at like 917, you subtract 365 until you get to 365 or below. And just like that, I now have another layer that I can look at and see what playing card is attached to that number. And it's magical. It's so magical. So I've done it with the tarot. You can do it with the tarot. It's 78 cards in the tarot. You get 119. You subtract 78. You'll say what the 119 is attached to.
That's amazing. We need to do an example. We need to do something like right now.
Okay.
We can decode. I don't know what to pick though. Let's see.
Well, maybe maybe somebody in the audience.
Maybe in there. Does anybody have a word, an idea, thought, something that they want to? Seeking Truth was born on the 50th day. 59 are watching.
59 is tied to 59 is the total amount of words in Hebrew in Genesis to reach the 226, which is the isotope of radium and Ra.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey Ra, hey Ra.
Hey Ra. Yeah.
You know what's so funny? You know what happens to me when I've watched your videos. Okay, so I'll watch your video and I'll just sit there and I'll try to like focus and listen as much as I can. Sometimes I have to go back a little bit because I'm like, what did he say? Okay, I got that. And then later, like I'll just be doing things and the numbers from the video will randomly pop up in my field, like on the clock or, in a calculation.
Why is it happening? This is what's happening to a lot of people on the world stage now. They are like, why am I get asked a lot. Like I'm seeing these numbers. Well, again, just the foundation should be that you create this reality. So the numbers you're seeing are made for you to see. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't like say, oh, what about these angel numbers? And people have this habit of going online and researching, and that's totally fine if you get your answers there. But I think the basics of numerology are important. I really, really do. And when you know how the archetypes work with numerology, what 1 means, what 2 means, and when you pair them together. So when you do numerology, your name numerology, it's going to have a composite number, right? 2 digits. Well, you separate those, and what's the personality of those 2 numbers? That's going to be a thing for your identification. Your ego is tied to your name, your birth certificate name, and the spirit's tied to your life path. These are doing an entanglement together, and they offer a lot of clues, and you can bring those right into your astrological chart, and you could start to see maybe like your life path. Do you know what your life path is?
Well, I was just going to ask you, I think I've calculated correctly, and it's based on your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Month, day, and year.
Yeah.
And I just added the numbers together. So it was
okay. So what did you get for a single digit?
1974 was 33, which is 6.
Yeah. 105. Right. So you have a 105 and a 6. Okay. So what's in your 6th house?
I have.
Where's your Virgo? I
have Libra. Libra's in there.
Okay.
Empty Libra, empty hotel Libra.
Okay. But where's Venus? Right. So Venus will affect that empty house no matter what, because she's the lordess of that hotel. Right. So and what is 6? 6 is a cosmic parent. If you look at the number 6, it's a pregnant woman. That's why the Lover's card is the 6th tarot card. That's why carbon is the 6th element. That's why 6 is the first perfect number. That's why the third eye is 6. That's why 6 is the last day of creation. 6, right? So 6, it represents a cosmic parent. So anybody out there, if you have a life path 6, if you have a birthday 6, if you have a birth card that's a 6, there's going to be a sacrifice of yourself for the greater good in your reality of caring for people. That's the asset of that, where you're going to be like somebody who gives and takes care of people. The liability of that is that, see, we want reciprocation. So sometimes the 6s feel like you're not getting a reaction from people. Like if you give to somebody and you give to somebody and you give to somebody and they don't say thank you, you may like, what's your freaking deal, dude? Like but why are you expecting something? Don't give me something if you want. See, so that's the challenge with the 6. Is that you give and you expect something in return, right? So when you get good at this reality, the middle path, if you want to give without having any expectation.
You just give because you love to give. Exactly.
That's it. And then, we as human beings, we end up be like, well, I've done it 3 times and you haven't even said, thank you. I'm not going to give to you anymore. What are you doing at that point? Judging.
Yeah. You can't do that either.
Right? This is how it means to be a human being, man. That's life. It's a joke to me. It's fun.
It is. It's funny. There's a lot of funny things we can definitely laugh at, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody wants to know about Inauguration Day, January 20th, which
Well,
is also just so you know, the day that I'm launching my course. My first it's a 2-year creation for me. It's taken me 2 years to get all the stuff together
uh-huh.
and the time to do this, and I'm super excited. So we're starting on the 20th, and it's also the presidential inauguration day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the 20 is tied to the element calcium on the periodic table. It's the judgment card in the tarot. Now, when I say judgment card, right, you would think the judgment card means we're getting judged. No, the judgment card means graduation. The number 20 is graduation. That's what it means in the tarot. That's why people are standing up in the boat and like, yeah. And the angels are blowing the trumpets.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Well, on January 20th, what's that card? 7 of diamonds. Card 33. The Christ being crucified through that story. Why do they lay their hand on the Bible when they get inaugurated? Because the church and government are one and the same. For sure. That's why they do it. There is no getting around that. And what they do is they raise their right hand, shalom, this is the path of good.
Like the magician.
And they lay their hand on the Bible, which is sin.
Mm-hmm.
They're laying the hand on sin, on the Bible. It's just such a joke. But that's how it is, man. That show. So, like Trump's coming in. He's going to play what it looks to be like the order from a lot of chaos for the past 8 years. A lot of chaos, right? So there's going to be a lot of people, I would assume, that are going to be just ecstatic for this guy to come into office. Because who likes to live in chaos? Nobody. So when you see the order come in, people get excited about it. Not me. I'm neutral to it because it's two sides of the same coin. Chaos, order, order, chaos. Chaos, chaos, order, order.
Right, left, black, white.
That's it.
Red, blue.
You have shalom coming in,
mm-hmm.
right? This is what the devil's doing on the tarot card. This is the hand signal the devil's doing from the right-hand path, the shalom path. And this is shin in Hebrew. Shin is shalom. This is shalom. This is the Vulcan symbol from Leonard Nimoy. He was Jewish. Yeah. So that's why the Bible is used for inauguration. And that's why Christians are Jews. That's it. I don't care what people say. They may get angry. I'm not Jewish. No, you use the Old Testament, don't you? When you go to your preacher, you read from it. So how can you say, so you want to say you're Christian? Cool. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy. That's totally great. But your origins are from the Jewish practice. And it's a unit. You can't take the Old Testament and if you just want to use Christianity and not use Judaism, you might as well just rip out the Old Testament. You can't do that. It's a unit. It's a set.
And even that wasn't that borrowed history anyway from other civilizations too?
Well, yeah. I mean, what I've been shown is that the Bible is from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The Egyptian Book of Life, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. In that book, it has, they talk about the net. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, Book of Life, they talk about the net that surrounds the earth, which is the flower of life. There's a big flower of life, like a Dyson ball that surrounds the earth, where the all-seeing eye can go anywhere it wants to look at you. I've covered the all-seeing eye twice, the eye of Shalom Ra, and then the all-seeing eye that's on my Patreon.
And the Zodiac belt is one of those.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
The Wheel in the Sky, Journey sang about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's why I want to teach about it so that we can rise above it and we can be neutral to it. I think when you know your astrology, doesn't it give you the ability to like put yourself in front of you and look at yourself compassionately and without judgment? I really feel like that's so key. That's what it does, because you say, oh, okay, I am a 9 of diamonds and I am this and I have labels and I have categories for all things. There's nothing wrong with me. I have a set order of recipe or however I made. And so then you can work with that and look at that objectively.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point to make. I totally concur with you on that. That's where I'm at. My level of understanding is you study your charts, you study your code, and you don't beat yourself up for your shortcomings. That's what I don't believe in mistakes. I stopped believing in mistakes. I stopped believing in accidents. I mean, I've said this many times where some of you have cut your finger or broke your leg or broke your toe and you got to go to the hospital. So you go to the hospital and you end up making friends with the doctor or nurse there. Maybe you become you get in a relationship with that person.
Right. You never know.
You never know, right? So you wouldn't have done that if you wouldn't have, you say it's an accident, but then you meet your future husband or wife. So how is it an accident that you broke your leg? No, the universe gave you that trajectory to move you to the hospital so you'd meet your partner. So there are no mistakes or accidents in a predestined world. And if you're somebody who's on the fence about predestination and free will, go watch Robert Sapolsky, and he'll back up that you don't have free will. Way better than I can.
And does he do that through just example and
yeah, he gives a lot of examples. He's extremely intelligent. He's got his PhD. I'm not that means anything, right? But he's a smart guy, and he backs up what he's saying. And then when I do the decodes on everything, and I see that I'm not living through choices, like I'm just not. And then I see these things that happen to me. The simple thing of music on my phone and timestamps and just the
synchronicities. Yeah.
The people that I have in my life, there's people that I have in my life that would blow your mind if I showed you the connections that we have. Like I am so scripted. I got, before I ever met Jayson, I have all these tattoos. I have all phoenixes here. All these are all phoenixes, right? Okay. Well, I got all of these a long time ago before I got into decoding and all that stuff, right? In the 1970s, when I was born, my parents had a Pontiac Phoenix. I'm not kidding. They both had a Pontiac Phoenix. I went to prison. My parents worked in the prison system for their entire career. My dad was a captain. My mother was secretary for the warden. I went to prison. I have the prison card, right? This is the scripted reality that we live in. But it's once you surrender to it, you realize, like, why would I get angry at it? Why would I have resentment? Why would I get pissed off at people? I'm a fan of life, man. I'm a fan of people. Like, do I like Joel Osteen? I'm neutral to Joel Osteen. I don't follow what he's doing. But when I study his chart, I see pastor written all over it. Have you ever studied his chart?
No, but I have the same experience with people. Like, I'll the way I'll do a reading is I'll just pull everything up, and then I'll do it as I'm recording it, and then we'll go into different aspects, and it just starts tying itself together. It starts telling itself a story. Absolutely. And then most of the time people are like, wow, that was amazing. And it's not, maybe there's a little intuitive energy channeling going on, but most of it's just knowing the chart.
Yep.
Knowing
the chart, and then adding in all the other, numerology, cards, tarot. You have your rising sign. What's your rising sign?
Taurus.
Okay, so you have the high priestess as your rising sign. Take the high priestess, it matches with the second house of Taurus. And what's the high priestess? The oracle. You got the moon beneath her feet, So now you have that. Well, why are you attracted to the occult and all this kind of stuff? You got a high priestess energy, your rising position. That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a really, really big deal. So that's the thing. I do want to say this. In Vedic astrology, one of the values you have is the navamsha D9. You don't have that in the Mastering the Zodiac. So I like to look at the navamsha D9. Do you check into that stuff?
I have not looked into that. Vedic astrology has always sort of made my just too many big words when I was trying to learn other things. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let me just take this a little bit at a time. And so they basically slice up the pie in degrees, give them numbers and planetary rulers.
Yeah, you talk about the South or North Indian, where they do it in squares and diamonds. Is that what you're talking about? Or you talk about the Vedic side here with the nakshatras and stuff? I
guess I don't know.
Okay. So
I know that you said something about Rohini, the house of Rohini.
Yeah, Rohini is the fourth zodiac, the fourth in the nakshatra, sits in the sign of Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. That may match up with your rising sign. Rohini is where Krishna is from. So Krishna is from Rohini. Rohini means the most beautiful one, right? And Rohini is ruled by Brahma. So in the Vedic sidereal, in the nakshatras, there's what's called the Trimurti, which means that Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva fits in every nakshatra. And one of them is going to rule that nakshatra. Rohini is ruled by Brahma, the creator god.
Amazing.
Yeah. So this is a thing you can do. So the nakshatras are extremely valuable, but the navamsha D9, that's like tied to the second half of your life. And what you're looking for is your rising position. What's going to be in the rising position. And for me, it's like I go from Libra to Taurus, and you like Taurus energy is all about structure, and I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just observed that in my second half of my life. I value structure and being able to be on that. Like, I am a very structured person,
Yeah.
very disciplined.
I like to help people kind of wake up to their creative energy, their creative spark. And you can do that by taking Venus and putting it on the ascendant and then analyzing the houses from Venus.
Okay.
That's very useful. That's very fun.
Is that a name? Is there a technique name for that, or just something you came up with?
No, I didn't come up with it. They use it in financial astrology.
Oh,
If you want to like know your purpose, you can put your sun on your ascendant. You can do that, and then
oh yeah, yeah.
like for a company, you put the CEO, the sun, on the ascendant of the company chart, and then you can see how the CEO will work with that company.
Got
So
it.
you can do stuff like that. So yeah, if you put your Venus in your new first house, this is your new first house, then the second house from Venus becomes the things that your creative process values. The third house becomes how you learn about it. The fourth house is how you nurture it. So you just kind of go around the wheel through the houses, but from Venus's position as the ascendant. So
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah, Venus is like spirit into matter, right? The symbol, the circle with the cross. So,
Yep.
And when you match Venus up with Saturn, you have love stuck in time because Saturn represents time. These are big markers in the card system, anyway. But if we just go into the
All
second
right,
house.
you showed your tattoo. I'll show you mine. So Venus and
Oh,
Saturn.
oh wow. Okay. What's the lines all the way around the little?
Star Sirius.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the Sirius symbol.
The for Sirius. Yeah, there's 7 of them on there.
Oof. That's a heavy. I mean, Sirius Ra could be Sirius, because they do have the same connections. So,
and I have Venus conjunct Saturn in Gemini, like where the star Sirius is.
You have Sirius conjunct Saturn in
Venus.
In Venus,
Gemini.
where?
Gemini.
In Gemini. Oh yeah, well, yeah, he's 20 degrees Gemini, right about there, right?
Yeah, they're all real tight. They're right there.
Wow, that's a pretty nice round little table there. Sitting there. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the second house is amazing because it represents your finances and your money, and so this is a big thing.
I mean, I just take it basic, mundane. A creator teacher. That's what I am.
Right. What's your human design? Do you get into human design?
I've had it done. I might have it somewhere from the person who did it.
I'll just do it on the fly.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here. Tell you what you are. Okay. So, birthday, just give me your birthday parameters again.
August 4th.
1974. 74. What time?
1:30 a.m.
Okay, hold on a sec.
I think he's putting it in Mastering the Zodiac, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
What city?
Pinehurst, North Carolina.
That's right, Pinehurst. Okay, August 4th. So you're like me, you're a generator. Yeah, you're a generator. So the rules of the generators are, they make up the majority of the population. Workaholic. You've probably been accused of like your partner saying, "Pay attention to me. You don't pay enough attention. You're working. You're always working." Yeah. So you're going to get that thing with the generators, but your job is to create.
Especially if I love it. I mean,
forget about it.
I'm always working. I'm always working on something. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a generator. I just happen to notice your birth time is the same. I was born at 1:03 a.m. You got 1:30.
Cool.
Yeah. And my
13.
Phoenix card is your 9 of diamonds.
Oh, cool.
So see the connections? Our birth times, even though you're 1:30, I'm 1:03, still the same numbers. My Phoenix card's a 9 of diamonds. Your ego card's a 9 of diamonds. And here we are.
So what does that mean? Is it just the connection, or does it have some kind of influence on you that 9 of diamonds in that Phoenix space?
No, I would just like, this is how we found each other because we're connected to that kind of code. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. You know, because this is a niche. This is a niche find, right? This is not a general, like, oh, I went to the store and I met like a whole bunch of people in a group. And no, it's when you select, it's niche. This is more niche because mastering the zodiac is a niche platform. It's not mainstream.
No, we're trying though. We're trying to get it mainstream.
Yeah. Well,
I want to teach it in elementary school. Like you need to, like, if you knew this stuff like from the beginning, you know.
yeah. Well, that the course I have coming out is gonna. That's what I've created it for kids. The main reason why is to create it for the future generations, and anybody. It's easy to do. I mean, you could teach someone in 5th grade, 4th grade how to use this system. It's really easy. So yeah. And once you use it, you'll never have to get a reading ever again. So it's going to kind of like, I'm going to take this thing, go on to the goal is to take it on tour and travel around and teach people live. I want to get back to the live experience, rap versus, doing stuff like this. This is great, but
Yeah,
there's nothing like the human being experience.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, meeting Jason and his family over there in Houston was amazing. So, I agree. And you get people together with like minds, and there isn't really like there's no contention. We're all just there to, and everyone's so helpful and kind, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, you went to his Houston event, right?
Yeah, on Saturday.
Did he have a big turnout? How was his turnout?
It was probably the biggest one he said he had.
Oh, great.
Yep, and he went through Ophis. Not in a whole lot of great detail, just more of a demonstration. And I got to, I got to take a picture with him and
That's cool.
hug him a couple times. And he goes,
I wanted to go to that event.
he told me I was a really tiny person.
Yeah.
And then he called me a hobbit.
A hobbit. Okay, interesting.
Because I'm 5'0" and he's 6'3".
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Okay. Got it. I didn't know you were that. You were 5'0". Wow.
Fun size. That's what my husband calls me. Fun size.
Yeah. Well, they say big things come in small packages.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. My shoes are cheap because I can get kid size shoes.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Do you have any siblings? Were you just?
I have 3 brothers.
Oh, okay. And are they all bigger than 5 foot? How about your mom? Where'd you get your size from?
My mom is 5'3". My dad's 5'5". I think everyone's just short. Yeah, I think I just got the short end of the shortness.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So. Okay.
Cool. How are you doing? Do you want to take any more last minute questions? Let me see if there's.
Yeah, I'm good. I have another.
You got a thing.
I got another half hour. I got another like 20 minutes to go, so okay. I can keep going. Yeah.
Now, when you do your human design, are you using the cosmic human design with the real sky, or are you using the tropical one?
Yeah, I've always been accustomed to using. I know it's a thing, right? Cosmic is the more sidereal, and Jovian is the original system. I've always just used the Jovian. I've looked at both. I'll be honest. I've looked at both for me, and I resonate with both. I resonate with both of the definitions. I'm like a 3-5 heretic in the Jovian and a 5-1 in the cosmic, and I resonate with both. So the course I have coming out will alleviate the burden of that. And I'm going to show you how to alleviate the burden of multiple systems at the same time. That'll be good. That'll be really good. Yeah.
So, where can people find you? Let me, I'm going to put you.
Well, YouTube is my main. The Patreon is where I have, that's what you can become a donating member or support the research. I have about 80 videos that you will not find on YouTube that are only for the members over there.
Are you patreon.com/decode your reality?
Yeah, it's just if you just type in, if you go to Google or a search engine and you type in Patreon Decode Your Reality, you'll find it. Okay, cool. So I have that, and then my YouTube Decode Your Reality. You can't miss my logos right there on my hand. Yeah. You can't miss the logo. It's always there. And then I am on Twitter, but I don't use it a lot. It's just a crossover from the Patreon. Okay. So yeah.
And then Cosmic Sugar, right?
CosmicSugar.org is my official website for readings. And I have a blog on there. I have the 13-month calendar, the Ophiuchus calendar, December 13th New Year calendar on there, which
Nope,
is very
that's not
awesome.
yours. This is yours. There we go.
And yeah, that's mine right there. And then I do have an Instagram account, but I don't really use it. I do have a TikTok, but I don't really use it. So I've got a few
It's
videos.
hard to do all of them. I
Yeah,
find it
man,
very
I'm just
distracting. It's
trying to
like
simplify my life, man. Yeah, I got rid of my Facebook like 6 months ago. That was cool. But now something takes its place.
it always
You know,
does.
we just get bored and we just create stuff. So,
I know.
but
I think I jumped back onto Twitter because of Jason, and I don't even know like what I want to post on Twitter, and I'm not even an official member yet. Like I think you have to pay to be official on Twitter or something like that. So
yeah. But YouTube for me, I do have a BitChute account, which has like a few videos that got deleted off of YouTube, but I don't really use it. I'll just
why
keep
would
it
your
there.
stuff be deleted? I mean, you don't even
Well,
talk about that kind of stuff. You're just
yeah, I'm very
showing
neutral. Well,
numbers. Yeah.
the first video ever was a one on COVID.
Oh, that'll get
And
you.
it was because I went into the CDC and I started to break down who was connected to that operation. And so they deleted it. They just deleted it. And then there was one more. I can't remember which one it was that they deleted. I put back over on the pitch shoot. So yeah, but other than that,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, you know how.
And
I
then
mean,
you also have Dakota, right?
oh yeah, and I have Decode the Dekoda, Dakota.co. That's the decoding. It's a free website for anybody to use. It has more ciphers than any other decoding website out there. It's all completely free and complimentary. It's made for decoding. It's a site that's made to decode. I have all the square roots. I have from the trigonal all the way down to the dodecahedron, all the shapes and the polygonal shapes. You have those. We have some unique ciphers in there called alchemology that nobody else has, taking numerology and combining it with alchemy. So that's a thing that I got introduced to that I put out on the world stage. So that's a really fun website to use. So if you're into decoding and don't want to pay for a service, there's other decoding sites out there that make you pay. This one's all free. So, and it has more than anybody else. So that was like my gift to everybody.
Yeah.
So I host that. Yeah. So that's cool. And we'll be expanding on that website eventually with cards and stuff like that. So.
And then you also have resources on your website. So
I do. I have resources.
Mm-hmm.
You can download all of the card charts, the birthday card chart, the calendar 365 with the leap years that I use. All the ones that I use, they're on the resource. The tarot cards numbered, the playing cards numbered, the medicine cards, the Native American medicine cards, those are on there as well. So all the charts that I use for my decoding efforts are on the resource tab under Cosmic Sugar. Yep.
That's amazing, all that you've done. I mean, you really have done quite a bit, and it's hard to remember everything, but when you look back, it's quite astonishing.
Yeah. And then this course coming out, it's going to be it's called Spotlight, and it's going to be revolutionary. I think it will, because there are a lot of people that want to get readings and this doesn't fit their budget for me to give a reading to them. As is, other people that do readings. We all have our own different price tags. So I figured, okay, I got to create this course so people can afford to do it. Because if you're somebody who wants to do it yourself and you're on a shoestring budget, the course I have coming out, you're gonna have to spend money on it, but it's going to be very affordable. I haven't priced it out yet, but it's going to be super affordable, and you'll never need to go to a reader ever again, ever, as long as you have internet.
Right.
So this is kind of biting my own hand because I do readings, right? That's what I do. But we're going to do seminars. We're going to take it on the road. We're going to go get back to being people again.
Wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
And I 100% support what you're doing in terms of getting it out of there and helping people have more knowledge about, the sky, using the actual sky.
How long have you been using Mastering the Zodiac?
I think I came to the realization somewhere around 2021.
Oh, okay. So you've been in it for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I started my channel in 22.
How did you find Mastering the Zodiac?
I was so kind of just fucked up from realizing I wasn't a Leo that I Googled for like, I don't know, 2 days to try and find somebody that did this kind of astrology. And then finding that it was so limited, I knew I had to jump in, and it lit a fire under me. It was similar to when I found out I wanted to be a doctor. It wasn't like the normal path. I was doing something completely different, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just said, I think I need to go be a doctor, and I did it. And the same thing happened with this. It's like, I need to fix this. So
So you found it, and there you go. Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
yeah.
I fought it tooth and nail. I mean, I had somebody. I don't know who it was. Somebody had introduced. There's a few people that introduced me at the same time, and the one person was very persistent. And I was like, I was too into the nakshatras at the time, and I didn't want to dive into that. So I said, nah, I'm good. I wasn't finished with the Vedic stuff. And I think it was around the June 12th timeframe when I was out last year on the beach looking up at the moon. I'm like, oh, the moon's in Leo. And then I look at tropical. I'm like, wait a minute. How can it be in Virgo? So that was the proof. That was the undeniable.
Yeah, that's
proof.
what I tell people. Just look up. Just look at the sky.
But you can't do it during a full moon because it blocks out all the
right.
It's too bright. But like a crescent moon, you can see what sign it's in. Yeah. So that was pretty big. That was pretty big for me.
They're big moments for people. They are. And in fact, we have a group on Facebook called the Fellowship of 13 Signs, where we always invite people that are interested in constellational astrology to come. We have a few people that will do some daily writings. We have people that do videos on their YouTube channel a few times a month. I always put my video notifications there as well. And we're growing. We're getting bigger. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, just even the 13, like I have this idea I haven't rolled out yet, but I have it already made, the graphics and the carousels and all that. But what I'm looking to do is to create round tables of 13. And it's based on the cards. So what I want to do is I want to get like if you're a heart, if you're an ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if you're a heart, then you're going to be put into the heart group. And I want to get 13 people. So you'll have the ace all the way through the king as a table. You'd belong to that group.
Oh, you mean at your conference?
No. Well, I mean, this is not a
like just create like a group of people.
I just want to create groups with
group.
the cards. Yeah. Cards at the table, and it will be based on the 13, just like what you guys have with. And it's interesting because again, this came to me before I ever got introduced to mastering the zodiac. Before I ever looked at Ophiuchus, I didn't look at Ophiuchus. Tropical and Vedic don't recognize Ophiuchus, so it was invisible. It wasn't even there. And the thing that people have to understand is Ophiuchus has every right to be there because the leg of Ophiuchus, 51 Ophiuchi, goes right over the ecliptic, and that is one of the requirements to include a zodiac sign for the 13.
100%.
So it has to go over the ecliptic, and that's what Ophiuchi does, 51.
And it also completes the cycle of death and rebirth that we don't get the rebirth part in tropical. So
So New Year's coming up, man. We got 4 days to go. 4 days to go.
All right.
Maybe something profound will happen.
I certainly hope so. I'm always waiting for the next fun thing. Okay.
That's the opening of the Matrix. December 13th is the day that would be opening of the Matrix. Theology mixed in there. So it's really cool. Wow. So who knows? Maybe nothing will happen.
Something will happen for somebody, especially if they have the right.
There you go. That's a good point.
If they have the right card.
That'll happen for somebody.
That's right.
There you go.
Cool. Well, I have enjoyed our conversation. I cannot believe that 2 hours have gone by this quickly. It
goes by quick.
And you are just so full of amazing information and knowledge that I could probably sit here for another hour or two. And then I'd have to pee, but then I'd have to come back because
Well, thank you so much. Well, again, I'll just say it's not me. So you're sitting with something, whatever my representative, whatever's using me, whatever star spirit, I just call it supernatural. That's what I'm channeling this stuff. And as you are. So I think it's really cool to find out who's channeling through you. I think that's a cool thing. I hope one day maybe we'll finally get to figure that out. Because a lot of people say, I'm from the Pleiades, or I'm from this, or I'm from Antares, or that. But where's this? When that's kind of cool. Because I think ultimately we like to belong to groups. we like to belong to communities.
Yeah, and I think it's important too.
Yeah.
For where we're going, especially. So
Yeah, for sure.
all right, my friend. Well, I will reach out to you in a couple of weeks about our reading, hopefully in January.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll be looking for the class. And then you guys have all the information to get in touch with Logan if you want a reading or if you want to watch his decodes. I would at least start there so you can enjoy and kind of get into his methodology and rhythm. And yeah, so we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thanks
Thank you,
you. I'm very
moderators, and
grateful
thank you,
for having me come on. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, 2 hours breezed by quick.
Mhm.
You're having fun, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, awesome.
All right, my friends. All right, my loves. We will see you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for coming in. Appreciate all of you. Thanks, Danny. Talk to you soon.